Welcome to the bonus ballet. Coming into first position, turning out the feet, rotating in the hips. We're going to come to demi-pliés, bending and straightening the legs. Think up even when you're going down to really feel the zip up in the core abdominals. Keep breathing as we pull the tummies up and try not to let the tail scooch out in the back. Keep it pinched together, lifting up and the weight over your toes to keep your balance. So you have a nice straight spine. Notice how you're going straight up and straight down and you're not going back and front or side to side. Don't release the tail behind you. Keep it tweezed and pulled up in the correct position. Keep breathing as you relax into your demi-pliés. Really focus in on pulling up to the crown chakra, even when you're bending the knees down, so you get that nice counter pull. The stretch thinking up even when you're going down. Keep breathing. Your inner thighs should be trying to come together even though they're pulling apart. There's that counter pull in the legs. We're going to come up into a releve and then demi-plié, bending the knees on a rise. Try to stay strong in your ankles, lifting up in the core abdominals. If your knees are bothering you, pull the weight off of your knees up through your thighs, into the core, and out through the crown chakra. So you're lifting ultimately all the weight off of your knees, pulling everything up. Keep breathing as you relax into your demi-pliés. Ballet is great isometric muscle grouping. You're going to be tightening and toning each individual muscle. We're going to press the heels down, point to the side, and tendu into a second position. Begin to plie in your second position. Try not to let the tail scooch back. Tuck the pelvis under, turning out the knees from the top of the hips so that you can plie with a nice straight spine. Technique is very important, especially at the ballet bar for correct placement, because then you're going to be using the correct muscles to execute all of these moves. Keep the length going, thinking up even though you're going down, that counter pull, and try to keep the weight over your toes so you don't fall backwards like I just did. When you keep the weight over your toes, you'll have more control because you're ultimately using your core abdominals more than leaning back on the heels of your feet. Pressing up through a 3/4 point and then plie in your second position. Keep breathing and keep flowing, thinking the movement up even though you're going down. And just try to relax. Your inner thighs should be burning if you're doing this right, and your butt and the back of your legs should feel very tight. The knees are still angled out to the sides, and then we're going to see if we can hold it on our releve in our second position. Gently release down, turn the feet parallel, hands flat to the floor if you can, and just relax the spine. You can rock out the hips a little side to side if you'd like. And then whenever you're ready, bending the knees, rolling up one vertebrae at a time to standing. Tendus, pointing and closing. The trick to battement tendus is not to turn in, but to rotate from the top of the hips. So the energy comes from the tushy pushing forward. Still zip up in your core all the way to the crown chakra. When you are lifted up and out of your hips, try to test your balance. Keep pointing and pressing your heel forward, presenting your heel, and try not to bend your knees. If you bend your knees, it means you've lost your imaginary string, your center inner pole, the string that pulls you up to the crown chakra. Lifting the weight up off of your hips, keeping everything taut, will assist you in not bending your knees, thinking of elongating and tightening as you close. Still keeping the upper body soft and floating with the arm if you'd like, as you tendu à la seconde to the side. Keep breathing. We're going to come to the back. I'm just going to pivot to show you how tight you should be at the back of the legs and the tail. Battement tendu derrière. Don't lose the tension in your derriere. Keep it zipped up in the front. It should be all nice and tight, clenched to work those muscles. Keep breathing as we battement tendu derriere. Still remain lifted in your core so your pelvis doesn't move, and try to keep those knees nice and straight. Relax into a demi-plie and a full plie if you'd like to release the energy. We're going to turn around to the other side so we can use the other leg. Tendu devant to the front. Try to stay square in your hips and shoulders, zipping up in the core and keeping the feet nice and pointed as you come to the front, adding a little speed in your battement tendus if you'd like. Keep breathing. Don't worry if you don't get this right away. It does take time to really connect to these muscles. We're going to tendu à la seconde to the side. Try not to have too much movement in your hips. Trying to keep nice and square with the weight on the ball of the foot of the supporting leg. And just focus in on keeping the tension in the core. Keep breathing. In the beginning, it may feel like you're not doing very much at all, but when you learn to connect to these specific muscles, you'll get to feel the tension, and then you can add a little speed or add a little pace if you'd like. Coming to derriere, pointing tendus to the back, zip up still in your core and strong in your legs, lifting the energy off on top of your hips so that your knees do not bend and there's no energy sinking down in the floor. You can lift into a nice arabesque line if you'd like, trying to keep the shoulders, hips, knees and toes nice and square, and just keep breathing as your foot freely tendus, and then gently come to a plie to relax. Coming up to a releve, let's see if we can balance, zipping up in the core, strong in your knees, buns and glutes are tight, and then gently release. Beautiful, well done. Grand battements, a big beat. Take a breath and zip up in the core. Same as battement tendus, except we're going to throw the leg up into the air. The same rule applies, zipping up in your core and keeping strong in your knees, lifting the weight up through the crown of the head so that your leg can move freely in the hips. Grand battement devant, all to the front. Whenever you're ready, come to the side. Grand battement à la seconde. Same thing applies, lifting and zipping, and you can come up onto a releve if you're feeling daring. All the more tension in your core to keep your hips from moving. Coming to the back, grand battement derrière into a nice arabesque line. Keep breathing and tweezing and tucking the tail, lifting up in the core, elongating a beautiful line in your arabesque line, trying not to bend those knees, and then gently relax into a plie. Zipping everything back up, rising up, seeing if you can balance, and then coming to the other leg whenever you're ready. Grand battement, the same thing applies as a battement tendu. The more you lift up and out of your hips and bringing everything north, the easier and the more freedom your leg will have in the movement. So keep breathing as you really try to execute these grand battements with strong, straight legs. Keep breathing and then gently find a space to make sure you have enough room for your foot behind you, and grand battement derrière with that second leg. And well done.